to share my story. Here we go.
Okay, tell us your name, please.
Jennifer Diamond.
Okay, and this is about you having these horrific injuries from Pfizer. Now, how many Pfizer shots did you get?
I had the first 2.
Okay, can I ask you why you decided it was a good idea to get a Pfizer COVID-19 shot?
I didn't think it was a good idea. I actually was very hesitant, and I had 2 of my daughters that became pregnant 5 weeks apart from each other, both high-risk pregnancies, and I was going to be staying in the hospital with one of them. And their obstetrician was pushing the vaccine. And so they, in turn, told me I should consider it. And I reluctantly got it because I didn't know enough, and I didn't want to harm these new babies.
I understand. So, what happened after the first Pfizer shot?
The first Pfizer shot made me very ill for over 2 weeks. Just like the worst flu I could ever have imagined. Body aches, fever, trembling, and just that kind of thing. I couldn't eat, just felt very, very sick.
And you knew that was from the COVID shot?
Absolutely.
But you still went ahead and had another one?
I did, because I thought that in order for it to work and protect the babies, because that was my main concern, that I had to finish the series.
So what happened after the second one?
I was still sick again, and after that, it took another 2 months, and I was in the hospital, actually, with my youngest daughter after she had her C-section, and I noticed towards the end of our 4 or 5 day stay in the hospital that the top of my right toe on the left side was numb. No apparent reason, it just was numb. And we ended up leaving the hospital and going to her house for another 4 or 5 days, total 9 days. I only had 3.5 hours of sleep, and I started to feel sensations of tingling on the bottom of my feet, and it just started to escalate. I couldn't understand it. I was very sleep deprived, and I felt like I had to leave. I couldn't help my daughter, so I left and went home and slept for about 2 months with just getting up to go to the bathroom, very minimal eating, and I really didn't really talk that much to family, very minimal.
Did you go to a doctor? Did you get any help? Is there anyone, because it must have been worrying for you. The husband, I presume, is sitting right next to me right now. Why aren't you sitting over there?
This is her story.
Okay. I kind of were interested in what it was like for you as well, because you also took to...
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
so
you're welcome.
So you're lying in bed, presume you're helping her. And
yeah, so what happened was I had a surgery on a herniated disc a while prior, and I reached out to the neurosurgeon, and I thought, could this be coming from that? And so that was the beginning of a long stretch of doctors. And they did an MRI with contrast. They had me take ibuprofen, lay on my back for 2 weeks, literally. The MRI came back fine, so they sent me to a pain management doctor, and they started me on gabapentin. The pain management doctor referred me to was it the pain management? One of the doctors referred me to a neurologist, and I just started on this long quest. I had several different kinds of medications. I tried the ibuprofen, I was on the gabapentin, several different dosages. Then they switched me to Celebrex and Lyrica. I had horrific side effects. I was seen at chiropractors, a TENS machine, massage, physical therapy, occupational therapist. I saw a whole nother set of doctors because that was at the Mayo Clinic. And then I went to Barrow Brain and Spine. I saw for a second opinion, and I must have seen at least 4 neurologists by the time I got a diagnosis. I had spine injections, wrist injections. I saw a rheumatologist. I had EMG tests. I had more MRIs of the rest of my spine. I had a tilt test. I tried everything. I reached across the country for doctors to help me. And during the time my symptoms worsened, I went from just the numb toe and the tingling to buzzing all over my body, bzz, 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 and tingling vibrations. I had this sensation in my hand, like a webbing, like the shape of a triangle that was separated. I had wrist pain, elbow pain, joint pain. It went up my legs. If I walked, if I had any movement, it went all the way in the groin area, across my face. Sometimes it was just my lips, it was my hands, and it just never stopped.
Was it like pins and needles, or just way worse?
It was like pins and needles. Sometimes it was more mild. It was different types of sensations, and I also had a loss of balance. I couldn't even hold a pen. I couldn't pour water. I ended up pretty much bedridden, and that lasted 14 months. I finally got a neurologist who did a skin biopsy where they take 3 pieces of skin on the one side of the leg, hip above the knee and above the ankle, and send it away. And then he finally said, we have a diagnosis of small fiber neuropathy. I said, great, what was the cause and what's the treatment? And he said, well, there is no cause. We don't have a treatment. You're never going to get better. You're only going to get worse, and you'll always be on medication. And that wasn't acceptable for me. So the fight continued. I was able to get an appointment with Johns Hopkins and traveled across the US, but couldn't take that appointment because my husband lost his job and our insurance wasn't in place, so they did not see me. I actually asked if I could do Mayo Clinic at the other location in Minnesota, because the one that I currently went to, they just said I was fine. Everything was fine. Every test was fine. And they denied me to go. And I did, I was recommended to go to a PTSD program to be interviewed to see if they could help me, because this must be coming from anxiety and stress. I had a DEXA scan, and the scan showed that my bones were osteoporosis to a 96-year-old, because I couldn't do anything. I was afraid to be home alone. I didn't want my husband to go to work when he, got another job. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I couldn't do anything. And if we did have family over, I did sit in a chair with my legs up with special shoes and socks for cushioning. It would take me at least 4 days to recover, to just bring the sensation down. And then I decided, you know what, I have to try some natural things. So I went on this tangent, and I saw an acupuncturist, a holistic doctor. I did the Wim Hof breathing techniques, where you try to hyperventilate to clean the air out. I did cold water. 50 degrees was our swimming pool, and I went in it for 10 minutes at a time every day in the winter to try to bring down inflammation. I tried manipulating my circadian rhythm. I stood outside and I watched the sun rise. When the sun went down, we didn't turn the lights on in the house. We had candle lights. I got rid of all Wi-Fi at night, got rid of everything in the bedroom, no television, no EMFs. I started meditation. I put black light shades up and had an air purifier, which also worked as a noisemaker because I was so stressed I wasn't sleeping well. I got a Berkey water filtration system to try to get rid of fluoride and other things in the water. I got rid of fluoride in my toothpaste. I mean, I tried everything. And I had something coming up, a blood test for my cholesterol. And I knew that I could bring my cholesterol down if I changed some of my eating. And so I did. I went to a whole food plant-based eating. And the 3 weeks later, I got the blood test and I noticed I could move my hips. I could, something was going on with the inflammation was coming down and I was starting to heal. And so I just kept on that. I flew to Santa Rosa, California, where I checked into the True North Health Center and did a medically supervised water fast for 14 days. I did partial juice and water and, went home and just kind of waited and continued. I went gluten-free, salt, oil, flour, alcohol, sugar-free. And over the course of this past year, I do have about 90% of my life back, but I still have the sensations. I lost that almost 2 years of interacting with my grandbabies, these new little babies. I was supposed to be one of their caregivers.
Should we look at some of these?
Yes.
You can carry on talking, I'll just put them up.
So that picture is right when I noticed that my toe was numb in the hospital with the grandbaby. And you could tell that I wasn't overweight and, I was tired, but that's about the time that I noticed that. The next picture is when I went home and just slept for days and weeks and months. I just slept and slept and slept. And my dog was just with me and it was not good.
All right, let's take the next picture.
This picture is one of many trips to get spinal injections. I had to be in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk well, and that was probably the second or third one. That's how I got to interact with my grandbaby. And you can see there's a pillow between my legs because I couldn't have them bent. I couldn't cross my feet or my toes. Everything would be heightened. It was almost like someone was taking a volume from like a car radio and turning it up if I walk around. And just out of bed, that was pretty much how I could, be around the house. I started drawing, and I've never had an art class or anything, but I started to draw once I could get some of the momentum to hold a pen, and that was me trying to express some of the sensations that I felt. And that was excluding the face. I also had it in the face and on my lips. That was me very medicated, pulling myself together for my mother's birthday. You could see I'm wearing soft shoes and I'm wearing socks because I was trying to be able to stand up. I'm hiding my hand because I was in a brace and I'm very heavy, my heaviest, because there was no mobility and I was on tons of medications that were doing absolutely nothing. And this so this is the circadian rhythm. To the best of my ability, I would just tried everything. I mean, leave no stone unturned. And that was when I brought all the baby's stuff to the car. And you don't see me, but that I pushed to the car because we were checking out of the hospital. And I realized I have this weird buzzing, tingling feeling in my feet. That was when that happened. And, these are some of the solutions they gave me. Wrist braces and elbow braces, and telling me to sleep with my arms straight because they really didn't have any clues. And this is just what's printed of some of my medical records. And it was a place that I was very alone in this space. I had no one to turn to. I, at that time, had never heard of vaccine injury. I asked all my doctors, could this be from the vaccine? And at the beginning, they said absolutely not. And over time, I got some of them to say, well, it could be. And then someone else said, well, even if it was, we'll never know. You can't prove it. And then I was also told by a final one that you won't know for 20 years. So I'm really angry. I'm really saddened. This is not gone for me. I still feel sensations and have trouble and work on balance and work on being my best self. I'm afraid that it could come back without any warning. And, you know, there wasn't any government or anybody that pushed these vaccines through my daughter's doctor, through the news media, through, you know, the government, through our president, through all of these sources. There was no one for me to turn to that was going to say, okay, I understand, I hear you, this is something we're going to walk through together. I was completely isolated and left alone, and those doctors, they went home at night. They went and dealt with their families, and they didn't think about me. I was a number, and at least that's how I felt.
Has this whole experience made you start questioning the whole vaccination schedule?
I stopped watching news media. I don't take any vaccines whatsoever, never again. I will not. I have to really be like probably taken away in a stretcher, unconscious, to go to the doctor. I am so turned off about the whole thing and what everybody is standing for. I do want to say that I believe that it's not necessarily the doctor's faults. They aren't trained properly and they weren't ready for it. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that there is a place for them. And there have been times that they've helped me with things. But when they don't know, they shouldn't just leave you isolated on an island alone. I sat in bed and told my husband, although I am not suicidal, I don't want to live anymore in this body. I mean, the sensations nonstop, like 24/7, and not being able to understand it. There was nobody to tell me what was going on in my own body. I'm so grateful that I am still here, but it's a terrible place to be. And I really appreciate this space to be able to share, because if you're watching and you feel the way that I've expressed that I've felt, know that you're not alone and there are other things you can try.
Do you have a place where people can follow you?
I do. I just recently started a YouTube channel just to show people how to eat whole food plant-based, and it's on YouTube at the Jennifer Diamond.
Is there anything else you want to tell the people?
Just don't give up. There, believe it or not, can be hope. Try something new. Go outside of the standard and see if some of this stuff that I shared with you might work for you. And just know that you're loved and you're not alone. We're all in this together. So I'm sending big love to everybody.
Thank you so much.